Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. All right, guys, today I'm going to be giving you guys my list of deep sleepers. Now, these are not regular sleepers. For example, Kadarius Toney's on my sleepers list, but he's not in this video because these are deep sleepers. These are guys that are going way late in the draft, and in a lot of scenarios, going completely undrafted. So, we can get these guys at a tremendous value because nobody sees any sort of value in these players. But I have very good reason to believe that all these guys are going to be fantasy contributors this year. And they're going to be guys that you're going to end up wanting to plug into your lineup on certain weeks that could fill in the holes for you. And, with that being the case, considering the fact that you can get them for almost nothing, these guys need to be a priority in the later rounds. So I am going to start right here with my first deep sleeper, and that's Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, this is a guy who, coming out of high school, we knew he was a great player, right? He underperformed quite a bit in college, and then he's come into the NFL, and he's really been a non-factor. But if you look at his 3 seasons in the league, his first year, he saw only 20 targets. 2021, he saw 58 targets, pretty good increase. And then in 2022, 96 targets. So every season, Donovan Peoples-Jones' overall amount of just targets that he's seeing has gone up significantly every single year. And last year, he had 13 targets within the red zone. This was top 30 in the NFL. So considering the fact that he only saw 96 targets and the fact that 13 of those were red zone targets, it means they trust him to throw the ball in high leverage situations, which is a very good sign. And so he has scoring upside because of this. And we know that this dude is a tremendous deep ball catcher because of his tremendous big playability and ability to get open downfield. Now we insert for the first time in his career a quarterback that can actually throw the ball downfield. Deshaun Watson is a very good deep ball throwing quarterback because, the dude's just got a tremendous arm and tremendous arm talent and just tremendous talent in general. So this offense is going to be more efficient than it's been in a very long time, maybe ever, with Deshaun Watson being the quarterback. And Donovan Peoples-Jones finally has a quarterback that will sling him the rock down the field. This is going to be a guy that you definitely want to take in the later rounds because he has some pretty serious upside. Next player on my list is going to be Jaylen Warren. Now, this is a guy who is, he's more explosive than Najee Harris. I don't care what anybody says. This is a guy, 77 rushes last year for 379 yards, 4.9 yards a carry, 5.6 yards per touch. This dude's been incredibly efficient in the very small sample that we have. Granted, small sample size, so we don't want to give it too much merit, but from what we've seen, he is the more explosive back than Najee, right? He's faster. In a straight line speed, he's quicker, he's more elusive. He can bounce off tackles because he's very powerful, even though being a smaller guy. He's quicker around the edge than Najee Harris. He is the more explosive back. But, Najee Harris just has the bell cow build. He's tall and jacked, and, he just has the bell cow prototypical build that, you want in a back that's going to get, 250 carries in a season, right? But with that being the case, Jaylen Warren is going to come in and cut into Najee's workload significantly this season. We started to see it a little bit last year, although late in the season, Najee definitely dominated the carry count. But Jaylen Warren, coming into his sophomore season in the NFL, should cut into Najee's workload a lot more than I think people expect. So not only is he going to be cutting into Najee's workload, but if Najee happens to get hurt, there's nobody running behind Jaylen Warren that can take any touches away from him. So he's going to be the bell cow back in the offense if Najee goes down with an injury. And considering how explosive he is, I like him to have some pretty decent upside if that happens. So he's an elite handcuff, and I think that even if Najee is able to stay healthy all season, Jaylen Warren is going to start to cut into his workload a lot more this coming season than he did last year. So he is a great late-round pick. Next player on my list is going to be Zach Charbonnet. Now, this dude's certainly going to get drafted because of the hype. It's a talented back, right? He comes into the Seahawks offense and is the significantly bigger back than Kenneth Walker as far as body stature, 6 foot, 215 pounds, not nearly as fast as Kenneth Walker, but, there's a chance that this guy ends up being used more in the passing game than Kenneth Walker. I think that's certainly possible. I mean, we saw in his senior season, his reception count go way up. He had 37 receptions, 321 receiving yards. He was utilized a lot more his senior year as a pass catching back. So, with this being the case, could he receive the majority of targets out of the backfield for this offense? I think that's certainly possible. And considering the fact that he'll probably get 40% of the carries, I think Zach Charbonnet is an awesome late-round pick. In fact, when you look at it from a value perspective, he is the way better value than Kenneth Walker because, they're going to end up, I don't think splitting carries down the middle, but like I said, I think it's going to be like a 60-40 split as far as carries. And Zach Charbonnet has the potential to receive more targets out of the backfield than Kenneth Walker. So when you look at it from a value perspective, Zach Charbonnet is the better pick. I think it's best to actually fade Kenneth Walker early now that this is a split backfield and just draft Zach Charbonnet. All right, next player on my list is going to be Van Jefferson. This is a guy who, he is very fast, right? He runs a sub 4.4. This is why he's a very good field stretching wide receiver. This is why he's used for downfield targets and everything like that. And when you look at this guy back in his 2021 season, when Matt Stafford and the Rams offense was fully healthy, this dude had the second most targets on the team after Cooper Kupp. So he was targeted heavily. He had 16 targets within the red zone, 6 touchdowns. He had a very good fantasy season, 800 plus receiving yards. The dude absolutely went off. And last year he missed significant time due to an injury. And then, later in the year, Matt Stafford ended up getting the elbow injury. And so the Rams offense was kind of a mess. But, if we're looking at it, from a logic perspective, we can figure this out. Look, there's no more Odell Beckham Jr. on the team, right? There is no more Allen Robinson on the team. There's really no other competition for pass catching targets for Van Jefferson outside of Cooper Kupp. Tyler Higbee will get his amount of targets as well. But as far as the deep targets, Van Jefferson's going to dominate that. As far as the overall target share, I think there's a chance of him getting a 20% team target share this year, which is, very solid. And, the offense, if they are healthy, has the potential to be a very good offense. And they do look his way when they get in the red zone. Like I said, 2021, he had 16 red zone targets and 6 touchdowns. So he has some touchdown upside as well, along with the tremendous big play ability. So I like Van Jefferson. He's going undrafted in almost all formats, in almost all scenarios, in almost all leagues. So make sure to grab this guy in the later rounds. He has some serious potential. Next and final player on my list is going to be Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson, it's really interesting when you look at it because he has a very similar athletic profile to Mike Williams. They're very similar in size and speed. We've got the 6'3", 210-pound Quentin Johnson who runs a 4.5 and some change. And then we've got the 6'4", 218-pound Mike Williams who runs a 4.5 and some change. They're both the prototypical Alpha X downfield, big play wide receiver. So when you look at this offense, one of these two guys is going to be the Alpha X receiver in the offense that receives a majority of the targets. And considering the fact that Mike Williams pretty much can never stay on the field for a full healthy season, we know that there's going to be weeks where Quentin Johnson absolutely explodes because, as long as this offense is healthy and Justin Herbert is healthy, this offense has crazy upside. We know that Justin Herbert has a rocket arm, and whoever the Alpha X wide receiver is in the offense, they can feed him tons of downfield targets and also tons of scoring opportunities because this is going to be a very good offense. So that, and considering the fact that even if Mike Williams happens to be on the field, there's still going to be weeks where Quentin Johnson outperforms Mike Williams because Mike Williams is very inconsistent. And now you add another Alpha X wide receiver to take some targets away from him. There's going to be weeks, even when Mike Williams plays, that Quentin Johnson absolutely goes off and is the big play wide receiver for the team. And then, Mike Williams is probably going to miss 5 or 6 games like he does every single season. And in those games, Quentin Johnson's ceiling is freakishly high. So considering the fact that he has this kind of weekly upside and he's being taken so late in drafts, I think this guy is a massive late round steal. So that's why he's on my list here. And I really think that all of these players are deep sleepers. Quentin Johnson's the last deep sleeper on my list. I have him as a deep sleeper because I think that he is going to probably potentially explode and be one of the more valuable players on this list. All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning into the video. Catch you later.